All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Between Two Friends. Today, I'm with Paul Manser. And Paul is not only a friend, he's a client with kind of an interesting story that I'm excited to talk about. Paul, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
So a little bit about me, been doing this for 15 years. I run a company called Next Gen Technologies. What separates us from other integrators is our ability to provide innovative solutions that are new and exciting technologies out there that are scalable, which means that if it's a solution that grows with your business, or in the cases of this unfortunate situation with COVID, you can scale it down so it also helps your wallet and things like that, but also provide simple solutions that allow you to manage your day-to-day and to focus on projects such as integrations, mergers and things of that nature, and as well as providing a level of security, which I'm sure, even though you're in Georgia right now, Brett, you heard about what's happened in Miami-Dade public school systems with a 16-year-old taking down MDPS. So
Yeah.
I'm putting out an ad for him, to hire him. So if the FBI doesn't swoop him up, I might be talking to him soon.
First of all, I am in Georgia. This is not a fake background, although it could look like one of those fake Zoom backgrounds, but I'll move around so people see I don't have the white,
A little wave.
following.
Yeah.
I'm in a cabin here in Georgia, working remotely, just like I would be at home, just somewhere different with the family. So I saw the headlines today and all the jokes going around, like this guy's the next great, FBI hacker, and he'll get in trouble
Yep.
now, but much like Catch Me If You Can, maybe he'll put that to good use someday.
We actually had a kid in my class from Palmetto. We were a class of 2002 to show our age, to show my age, so 36. And basically, I believe at one point in time, he actually was able to penetrate and hack into NASA. But this was my sophomore year, so this was, I think, in 2000 or maybe early 1999. And yeah, I've heard that he's been a computer geek ever since as well. So I'm sure that if anything, his track record speaks for itself, and that was 20 years ago now at this point. I mean, he's got to be set for life, this guy.
Using that AOL dial-up to hack into NASA, that is, using that Eames screen name.
That's right. And then having a phone call come in and kick you off right in the middle of hacking into the mission to Mars.
Right?
Screaming, yep.
I was almost in the NASA mainframe. Why did you call, Mom? I wish we did criminal defense because it would be fun to defend this kid, see what he was thinking, and there's others apparently, and to try to help people reshape their lives. It's like, look, yeah, I know he caused a lot of issues, and it's illegal what he was doing, but to defraud the government and all that, I don't go that far. I mean, the kid was
I mean,
corruption and definitely some monetary exposure there, but it's not like he was trying to swindle the government out of billions.
no, he was just probably trying to get out of starting school again and things like that. He's just probably trying to pull like an early senior prank that just went wrong. You and I know that the law sometimes doesn't apply just to, unfortunately, logic, all the time. Just, this is a guy who probably had no criminal track record and just tried something and he succeeded. But it goes to show you that security is, a prominent topic, here in the world, and it's an issue. And if Miami-Dade public school systems get hacked, and if you read the story and how it changed throughout the days, it was interesting because at first in my industry they said it was a switch, and in my industry we were all laughing at that because if it's a switch, you take it out, you put in a new one, you move on with life. But to hear that it was a 16-year-old that brought down, one of the largest school districts in the nation. I have no other way to put it.
Definitely somebody you should hire. I think that that takes us into, you're in the IT world. So how long what was your classmates incident in '99? You're kind of like, I'm gonna get into the IT world.
No, believe it or not, my story's a funny one. So originally I was going for film directing, and I was I had a chance to do a big school, had a guilt trip about leaving, and went to applied for the school of film. They said you applied too late. They said go to a community college for a year or two. So FIU, Miami-Dade. So I went to Miami-Dade, took basic courses, met a cute girl, stuck around, wound up marrying her, and she's the mother of my two beautiful children, my wife, now for poor thing. She's married to me for almost 11 years this January. But also in the meantime, when that happened, I read a statistic that said you had a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice and winning the lottery 3 times all in the same shot than actually making it as a successful film director. And believe it or not, if you actually go into Palmetto's archives, you'll see that I was actually the first person to complete the first ever DVD yearbook. So that's actually a little piece of history with me, which is interesting. So I then went into business, graduated from UM. So
there we go.
And throw up to you. And everything just changed. You know, I was working for my dad, and it was a hard time finding a job. And I got a phone call asking somebody to come and have an interview right next to the house, actually right next door to your office, actually. And went in there, and they did IT, and I started there day one as an accounts payable, receivable clerk, doing inventory and all the basic petty stuff that, you know, I'm sure your clients hate, which is like, you know, hey, where's my bill for, you know, the next retainer to keep this litigation going or to finish this case or these contracts or whatever the case may be. That was me from an IT world. I grew within it, moved up to an operations manager, got forced into a sales position, which actually wound up being arguably one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And from there, got an offer to become a director of ops for a company, helped them grow from 7 to 21 employees in the first year I was there, promoted to VP. Arguably helped run that company with the help of others while manning different stations. And I got told that I'd be very good at doing this on myself and doing my own thing.
So you open up NextGen, and like a lot of people do, you had some, and look, this is public record, some of it, so we could talk about it's public record. But you know, you had a former employer who wasn't happy with what you were doing. We've been on both sides of this coin many times. We help protect our business owner clients with non-competes, and we help people try to navigate their way out of them. I mean, you know, we all believe in the free market. There's reasonable protections. There's fairness and all those things. And I think we tweeted something out the other day, and somebody responded, like somebody on the Twitter sphere, you know, was like, non-competes are arcane and should be burned. And it's like, you know, maybe there's an argument for that, but either way, so you jump into business, and then you kind of not come to a crashing halt, but you get like just the worst type of news, which means somebody's trying to prevent you from doing what you want to do.
I'll be very straight with you. It was the worst, minus what happened to me a couple weeks ago with my father's passing. It was the worst 4 weeks, I could tell you, because it actually ends with my father's death, so in June. But what happened is that a couple weeks prior was Easter Sunday, and on Easter Sunday we took my dad to the hospital, found out he had cancer. And then 2 weeks later, I get a knock at the door with, you know, a person basically serving me. And yeah, it was just a wonderful couple weeks. I put it to you that way. But you know what? To each their own.
You know, from your perspective, you go into business, you get there's, you know, there's a hiccup, if you will. Take us through like the emotions of that. You know, I always tell, you know, somebody was asking me the other day, why do you talk people out of lawsuits? It's like, well, because it's not just the principle, and we'll have people say, well, I'd rather pay you than pay them. It's like, after a few months, I promise you won't feel that way, because it gets very painful. It's mentally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. It, you know, focusing on a lawsuit takes your energy away from being an innovator and focusing on your business. And, you know, it just can show up in a lot of different areas. So tell us a little bit, you know, do you agree with that, or what was your experience?
It's hard to say. So, you know, Brett, you know, I hate to say this, but unfortunately during this whole process, I've gotten to know you a lot better, which is how, you know, this whole thing came about. And while, you know, in the front, it looks like I have more hair than Brett, but if you turn around the back, the reflection is just the same. So that actually got worse during this entire process, which is the whole point of the joke. It's very stressful. It's very irritating. It was something that I don't suggest as a business owner you go out and do. So it was a very tough process. Again, there was a lot of emotional feeling behind it. You know, to be very honest with you, my dad to this day does not know, nor does my parents or siblings know that this happened, because I did it to not to protect my dad. You know, so he didn't even know what happened. So, well, if he's hearing me now, he knows. So, oops. But kidding aside, a lot of people didn't know what happened, and it's okay. And I kept it that way, based off the agreement and not wanting to infringe on it. But it was a learning experience. It was very stressful, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, a lot of worries. I had colleagues here that I had to support, so they had to know about it as well, because I had to make sure that they didn't do anything based off, your counsel's legal advice from Christian and Kevin and Elias in the background as well. It was very stressful. I mean, there's no other way to do it, but it puts a halt on you. It puts a damper on you. It makes you not want to make that step forward. And, once everything came to a head on November 7th, it provided a sense of clarity that we were done and I can go out and do my whole thing. And we had all these big ambition plans, and then we got steamrolled with COVID. So
yeah,
it happens.
The magistrate judge actually said, in front of everybody to you, you're lucky that you had Tremblay Law Firm. They were very creative. This could have been, years and very expensive. And,
Correct.
Hearing those things, there's so many law firms that with their litigation. So they make money when people get in trouble, and they make money by keeping people in trouble for longer. And, we were able to, I think, help you move on. I know for a fact, help you move on more quickly than most scenarios.
Correct. It was a settlement. You know what I mean? I think it goes on public record to show that it was a settlement.
Yeah.
So we settled on both sides, and we both had to concede the things that I think neither one of us were happy, and that's being, siding with my former employment, as well. And it couldn't have been easy for him or them to come forward with this. So I want to make sure that, I let them know that I understand where they came from this. And it don't get me wrong, just so it was very expensive, regardless of everything. It could have been a lot worse, based off the outcome of keeping this going, because everybody I talked to, that has been involved in situations like this tells you that these things run up hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's years. That's make sure you have a good legal counsel on staff, and keeping it retained, and depends on how long the employer wants to drag this out, or do they want to go for the jugular, or whatever the case may be. But no, I remember that Christian came up with a strategy and had to have him explain it to me twice, just because he explained it in legal terms. I had to tell him to bring it down to my level, so that I understood what in the world he was talking about. And he explained to me that, because of the situation, I had this potential loophole that could help save us time, energy, money, and whatnot. And the magistrate actually said that, you had a great team behind you that actually was able to come up with this strategy to bring us all here, possibly 2 or 3 years down the road, because I'm sure if that didn't happen, it would still be going.
Yeah. Well, listen, just remember that next time you're talking IT terms with the rest of us, like, we don't understand what those terms mean, right? Give it to us in layman's terms, plain English. Just tell me what plugs in where and what to do.
I'll just tell you to sign a dotted line. Don't worry. We'll take care of it from there.
So look, you're back in business, and
never left business.
Well, right,
actually.
never left business, but let's just say, for all intents and purposes, right? Like, you're back. So, or at least you got started, you got, fell off the horse, you're back on the horse. So what has COVID done for your business to say, well, now everyone's moving things all around, so IT needs are more than they were before? And then what is coming in the IT world? What kind of cool things can we expect over the next 5 to 10 years?
A lot of things have changed. I mean, as you could see with the whole work from home initiative, that was a big thing. So a lot of people wanted to make sure that what's changed, I think what's really going to change a lot is going to be the real estate industry. And I mean by that is that people are going to not need those glamorous offices anymore, because owners that were very selfish and in the old school way of thinking, thinking that everybody had to be in the office at all times to be able to perform work. That whole way of thinking just got proved that it doesn't need to happen. That's what's changing in the IT world. So working from home initiatives to making sure that everybody can work from home and do their jobs, safely and efficiently as well. The big thing is security. Security has changed tremendously. Say, for example, Kevin's working at home on a case for Next Gen Technologies or some kind of contract that we're going to have with a customer, and there's not proper security measures taken in place, and Kevin decides he's going to go work for Paul Mansour Esquire. He's going to jump with me. And he takes all that data. Well, what do you do to protect that data to make sure that they're not taking it, putting it on a jump drive, and taking it somewhere else? So then there's those security risks that people don't think of. So really the big thing has to be focusing on security, securing your assets. And then the other part of it that people forget is I could sell you everything under the sun. I have the experts that can deliver and implementing the solutions, but the biggest 5% outlier is you and I, is the people. It's having your employees and staff trained to make sure of what to look for, what to look out for. And I'll be very honest with you, there's sometimes where I even get miffed. And, you know, again, been doing this for 15 years. I had an issue where I thought it was USPS sending me something and it looked like a USPS thing and it wound up, you know, not being them. And I thankfully caught it before I clicked it. But it takes a lot of training, and there's trainings out there that can be done for this to train your staff to minimize those risks. So our theme and our mantra is layers reduce risk. So having the proper infrastructure, having the proper policies and procedures in place, having the proper insurances as well, having a proper legal counsel team should something happen with this, like a Tremblay law firm, in case your business is hacked or compromised, is a good thing to have as well. But training your staff is something I can't do for enough. That needs to be done.
Yeah.
So I would say that the cybersecurity world is going to be changing dramatically, even more so than it has in the past 5 years. And I would expect dramatic changes with that to be happening.
Absolutely, man. It's crazy. I mean, everyone's worked from home, and that just brings on a whole new level of different risk and things that people don't think about. So, Paul
Absolutely.
Manser, Next Gen, thank you for joining us on Between Two Friends,
Thank
man.
you.
I hope you enjoyed it. And listen, when you're starting a business and you're just, you know, like that's the fun part. It may be looking back, you know, like more stressful and where was I going to get my next client, but it's also just fun because it's just pure, what can I create today? So I look back fondly on my first few years. Lots of ups, lots of downs that I've talked about, but you know, I also like seeing people and meeting them at your stage, which is, hey, how do I get this thing up and running and take off and build the business of my dreams? So good for you.
Appreciate it. Let's see what the world holds. So 2021, our year, mark my words.
There you go. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining us.